y'all. I wanted to share a little bit about my lesson plan topic. This is Lindsay Beck, and I'm a 5th grade math teacher at North Lafayette Elementary, and we were exploring fractions, multi-uses, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division from January to February. And for the culminating task, I used 3 different digital tools, and I want to share them with you and how I incorporated them into one big task that became my lesson plan eventually. So the first thing we did was, after we had learned all 4 types of fraction uses and learning how to perform the operations, we explored with Nearpod to start the week of February the 4th. We took if you've never used Nearpod, you can do it at student pace or live lesson. We did it as a live lesson. My kids are on one-to-one Chromebooks in our classroom, and so they use this as a whole group instruction. So we went into live lesson, and I'll go into it for you if it'll let me. Okay, so they can join the code this way. Join Nearpod using this code. You can also put this in your Google Classroom, which I had done. I'll show you that in a minute. And then you can link things to it. So it's pretty cool if you've never used it. So the thing about Nearpod that was kind of cool is you control it when it's on live feed. They can't go on without you. So no one could have the estimated answer before anyone else. So here was how we got started. We were visiting a birthday party for an enormous cake to practice adding fractions for a recipe. So we took a virtual reality, and this was in a different country, and I explained that to them, and so they had to estimate, seeing this virtual reality birthday cake, how much of an ingredient it would need to make it. So they made some predictions about height, and we recorded those. And then the next slide, they make their prediction of how many cups of sugar they thought were in this cake. They were able to go back a bit and compare it to their math journals, because we do a lot of word problems. They were able to compare it to some recipes we had used. That was a good thing. It gives you automatic participation score and student name, but they can't see any of that. Only you can see student name and answer, so that's a nice feature as well. Once we made estimations, we solved a problem together where they had to add mixed numbers, and then I wanted them to be able to do multiplication with that too. This was basically the mini lesson, or the precursor, before we started the culminating task, combining different types of methods to solving fractions. And then they answered that, and then they did a little fun, would you want to have this cake at your next party? So after they did Nearpod, they went into their Google Classroom. I broke them up into heterogeneous mixed groups, so there were a little bit of high, a little bit of low, a little bit of medium in every group. Each of my classes averaged between 24 and 22 kids, so it was even groups, and we split them up. And their goal was to, I gave a choice of a cake recipe or a cookie recipe, and they use that recipe to create. The recipes were found here back in February. And then they used the recipe to create a Show Me. If you've never used a Show Me app, it's a really neat thing for math. It's hard to find screencastify's for math that allow you to have a blank screen to write on. We had been using our smart tools and pulling that up on the computers, and then just using Screencast-O-Matic or Screencastify, but this was a lot easier and a lot more fun. So basically what you do is what we're doing now, a Screencastify, but on the screen they're answering their problem. So they were when they got their recipe, they had to convert their recipe to being able to feed 36 kids. What they should have been able to find was that they needed to triple their recipe, and they could go about this in either doing repeated addition on their mixed numbers for fractions, or they could use multiplication. Several of them converted to improper and used multiplication, and several just chose to do repeated addition and use fraction rods. That was a good differentiated tool. So anyway, they created a Show Me together, and then they uploaded them back into our Google Classroom here on February the 6th, right there. So, things that went well, they worked well together. They were excited about the task. They enjoyed the task. Their Show Me's were, this is not one of my students, but this was just an example of one that I pulled up. Their Show Me's were very good for first time. This was the first time they had used this. If I were looking back, I would spend more time modeling this. I wish I would have found this application at the beginning of the year in math class. I do a lot of math journaling. This would have been a great tool to have for them to build a virtual portfolio, to watch videos of them doing things throughout the year. Right now, mine go back and read them, and that helped greatly with test review, so this will be a nice thing to have next year since I'm teaching 5th grade math again. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I answered every question. I look forward to hearing about you all's lesson plans. I know I could have done better, but the kids enjoyed it, and it was a beneficial culminating task. It gave me a lot of information, and so I felt like it was a win-win. Thanks for listening. Bye.